I'm Keith Fenwick. We're in the English Lake District and we're in the Valley of Mungersdale, one of my favourite dales to paint in. And I've chosen this lovely little Packhorse Bridge to paint for you. Well, I've completed a sketch using a dark brown water-soluble crayon. We're indoors now and we're going to paint it. So we're going to put a very simple sky in here. I've never stretched paper, by the way, for about 25 years. If you use a good thick paper, this is £230, you don't need to. So I'm just wetting the background with a very pale raw sienna, and we're going to put a simple sky in. There's a lot of work in the foreground, so the golden rule is we want a simple sky. So I'm using some cobalt blue. Now I always draw duck eggs touching the deposit of paint. That determines how much pigment I draw away. So we're just going to wipe the brush across. Look, easy as that for you. Just add a bit of colour in there, nice and simple. That was painless, wasn't it? There we are. In fact, I'm not even going to put in any fluffy clouds there. I think I'm going to leave it like that. But before we progress any further, we need to dry it. It's time to put in the distant mountains, now the background mountains. These want to be light in colour, with very little detail. So I'm just using a bit of cobalt blue again, just to brush it in very lightly. And then I'm switching to the round brush, size 14 pointed brush, and I'm going to use a little bit of raw sienna just to add just a little bit of variety. And if I press it down and mix it with the blue, I'll get a little green effect. But these are just background. I want them nice and light because there's trees going in front. I'll just use a little bit of Payne's grey and a bit of alizarin crimson, just to get a dark grey. And I'm just going to put a few little bits of structure in here, just to show that it's not just a flat mountain. There's a little bit of few formations here and there. So I'll just dab the paint on, look, and just rinse the brush on your tissue and just brush it down like that, just to add a little bit of structure to that background. And on this side, we'll just put a little bit like that, not a lot, and there we are. Now we're going to put in this large group of trees first, and I'm going to use a mask to cover the bridge area up like that. So I'm going to use the 1.5" sky and texture brush to just rough in some background. So I'm using some Payne's grey with some burnt sienna to start with. I'm just going to drag it down like that. The brush is too dry. Now it's too wet, so I'll just take it off like that. Just put some background on like that for speed. A bit of green, a bit of Payne's grey. Just wipe the brush down like that for speed, and then I'll come to my tree brush. There we are, we'll just rough that out like that. Now I'm looking to take care to get the shape of the trees. I want some Payne's grey and some sap green. I want a dark background. There we are. So we'll just start shaping them a little bit like that. And these trees come down there like that. Bit of card across here. There's a little stone part of the bridge. Bit more. I want it dark at the bottom. Trees are dark on the inside and light on the outside. Let's just put a bit more in there like that. Let's go around the top of the bridge. I'm just using this to shape the bridge, in fact. Bit of burnt sienna, bit of Payne's grey. There we are. Right, that's shaped the bridge. Now, the watercolourist tells you to paint light to dark. You'll notice here that I'm painting a dark background, but I'm going to put some highlights on. And I've got a technique to do that. Now before I go any further, I'm going to use the Wonder Knife to scratch in some tree structures. There seems to be a group of trees, tree trunks here anyway. Now that's telling me that the paint is still too wet, because it's filling in. I need to dry it a little bit. So let's go again with the knife. That's better. I've got a light effect now, you see. If you time it just right, you get it filling in, you get a shadow on one side. So I'm just going to put a bit of structure through here. You're not going to see a lot of structures because the trees are quite dark, but nevertheless I like a few in. Don't overdo it, put a few there. Right, all I'm doing is putting on the background. So I'm coming around now, there's a few little bushes down here. So we'll use the mask again. It's just a piece of card. We'll just put them in there. There's a few little bushes here. There are some buildings on the right hand side here, but I'm using artistic license and I'm not putting them in because they're not contributing a lot to the painting. And there's a large one over the side here. So I'm just roughing in the background here. What I am interested in this painting is the gorse bushes. They really set it off and help to balance the painting. Gorse bushes at this time of the year, beautiful. Right, let's finish these trees off now and put some light foliage in. I'm using a little bit of white acrylic. It's just another kind of water-based paint mixed with traditional watercolour, and that allows me to put some foliage on which will stay on top of the paint. Get some highlights where the light's hitting it. I'm just touching very, very lightly to deposit paint. A little bit more water, give a bit more of a highlight look. There's a light tray over here. A bit more raw sienna, a bit more white. I could use gouache, but gouache will soak in. And I want this groups of foliage to stay on the top. So easy. I'm not gripping the brush tight, by the way. I never grip a brush tight. It's just slipping through my fingers. Right, let's have a look. Now I'll put a few more highlights in there. Right, a bit more white, a bit more yellow, just a touch of green. We'll have a nice soft green. I like to vary the colours. There we are, look, there's a different green. Right, now let's put some real light colour. A bit more white, a bit of this nice cadmium yellow light. And let's add a few highlights. There we are, look, that's what I'm looking for. Some nice light foliage in there. I mean, I could do these trees with a simple wash, but I don't like my trees to look like lollipops. I like to look like proper trees. Right, there's some gorse bushes there, so we'll put those in next. And I'll do them dark again. I want a dark green, so I'll mix a bit of this Payne's Grey bluish colour that I'm using. Payne's Grey is just black and blue, but this one's got lots of blue in. So I'm going to do a dark background. Just a bit of burnt sienna added to Payne's Grey now. And then I'll rinse the brush. Now I need to mix some of that cadmium yellow with some raw sienna with a bit of white, and that should give me the colour I want for the gorse bushes. What you do when you're actually outside painting is just take a little cutting and then compare it with your colour mix. Right.